All right. So we are live. Happy Monday. Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
Hey, Justin. How's it going?
Good. How was your weekend? Well, I guess they're all the same. Between the days and the weekends, they all kind of mend together now. It's just one and the same, right?
It's just getting to the point where I don't even know what day it is anymore. I feel like I'm on Gilligan's Island now.
No, it's interesting. I mean, everybody's trying to go through it in their own way and just be helpful to everybody else and mindful at the same time, compassionate, giving that, there's some crazy stuff going on right now.
I know.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of bring you on, call it the hot seat. And what I thought would be interesting, especially for service-based businesses, whether you're a realtor, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in whatever, right? There's plenty of service-based industries out there. What would you, as a marketing kind of expert and specialist, recommend to any of these people, if you're an independent contractor, whatever it may be, for them to be doing right now in the marketing aspect, since typically the paid type advertising is the first thing that gets pulled back, right? Especially in these moments, because everybody's worried about budgets now, right? Budgets and cash flow and all of that. So the first thing they're pulling back is their marketing budgets. But are there some other things that you could recommend that maybe are less expensive, or some other things in general, especially for those service-based industries trying to grow
right
in front of their clients or, of course, their database?
Right. So there's a lot of different ways that people can stay top of mind right now, especially during this lockdown, which has kind of stunted a lot of people from being able to work the way that we're all used to working, which is our in-persons, meeting people for coffee, meeting people and having lunch meetings. Since all those things have pretty much been halted right now, a lot of my clients that I work with have really taken to the internet, which is nothing new. It's just now the internet has become so relevant to people's businesses because you have a huge audience to capture now because everyone is home and on their phones and on their computers because they're bored. They're trying to learn what's going on, and they're also trying to find things to do to keep themselves entertained along with the kids. Right. From so many different people who are just struggling with homeschooling right now, and parents that either don't have enough technology to let their kids get on the computer. I mean, what happens to parents who have one computer and they have two kids that have different curriculums? So it's a challenge for everyone. And for my own business, I've been doing marketing for a long time now. Just to give you guys a backstory, I moved here from New York back in 2013, lived in
New York.
Yeah. Moved out to
I totally butchered that.
It's okay because everyone I know imitates how I say New York. So it's kind of like the thing now. But so I moved out to Palm Springs originally, and that was like complete culture shock. I had to relearn everything I thought I knew. And once I moved out to California, I realized that marketing and real estate were two of my strong suits. I started doing real estate back when I lived in New York. My mom kind of groomed me to become a realtor and work in the field. So I kind of worked my way up, but I started as the file girl. I would create labels for closed listings. That was my job.
Oh, wow.
I've really come a long way since then. I wear a lot of different hats, especially.
You're doing PC work?
I do a lot of different things. Okay. I mean, when I first started, I was more back end, taking care of filing and organizing people's businesses. I worked as an office manager for a group out in the desert called the Bannister Group. And that was when I got my real estate license. And in working with them, I realized how many different hats you have to wear as a realtor and an office manager. So I had a lot of different things kind of put on my plate, from showings and, staging homes to how do we market these homes. And now that we have this, worldwide pandemic, everyone is trying to find new ways to get in front of their audiences, and technology is definitely trumping all, no pun intended. But right now I've noticed, and I'll give you my top 5 and then we could kind of dive into each. I have my little presentation that I put together that, Justin, you can pull up.
You want me to bring those up now?
Yeah, I mean, we can get right into it because we can talk about the different examples that I put together, because we're going to kind of touch on all the different ways we want to get in front of our audiences right now. from, your email marketing. You can do text message marketing, which is something I wouldn't say it's new, but it can now be utilized in a different way. I think originally people were just texting for the sake of texting. It's an easy way to communicate. And it also gives you a place to look back at, or you can say, oh yeah, we talked about that. It just gives you a record of the conversation. So I always love to get things in writing. So text messaging for me is everything.
Yep.
People are also taking to your marketing platforms like your Constant Contact, your MailChimp. There's a system called Emma that I've been using a long time through the escrow companies that I work with. Emma works great. But if you're on a budget, obviously there's a lot of ways to get emails and contact out to your clients without having to spend a fortune. So first and foremost, if you pulled up the list now,
it's up on screen.
Okay, cool. So one of the first things that we started diving into was email marketing. Obviously, it's easy enough to do. Everyone has an email address. If you don't have an email address, you can always go on Google and make a Gmail account. It's free. They're really easy to set up. And the great thing is personal emails coming from you versus your marketing automated platforms, they always end up, or I should say most of the time, will end up in your inbox because it's a real email address and it's not coming from some @MailChimp account. And we'll get into that a little later on. But what I've noticed is that when you're using your emails, you have the opportunity to make it personal. I know it's much easier to blind copy your clients and send out mass emails, which there's nothing wrong with that. But it seems like people respond best to personal emails. It comes from you and it's to them, and you can address them by their first name, which I've seen a lot of people doing, and they've been very successful with it. One of the first things we put out was a daily schedule that people can use. And I think you actually posted on this.
I think I stole this.
Somebody actually sent this.
No, I got it for the kiddos now, and it's funny, we have it posted, and when they want to argue about what time it is to do anything, I say, go take a look at the list.
Right.
And then they go and it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. They're like, oh crap, it's academic time. I'm like, yeah, that's right.
Well, it kind of helps you plot out your day so that, especially when you have kids. I mean, I have a 2-year-old right now. So being quarantined with a 2-year-old is its own set of challenges. And I mean, I've been working from home with her all along, but now that we don't have the option of going to the zoo and going to the park and letting her kind of get her wiggles out, we have to get more creative about what we do with our time. So having this schedule has been a huge tool for the people that I've been working with. And obviously you can make it your own. You can customize your day based on what you guys like to do. But having a schedule to put out has been extremely helpful. And the response to this was huge. When we sent this out, we did this through Emma. Because they wanted to use their databases when they sent it. But a lot of people asked for it specifically so they could email it out to their clients or their friends and basically anybody that was looking for a little bit of direction and help with, occupying your day because, at this point, everyone's kind of getting stir crazy. So having a little bit of a schedule helps, even if you don't stick exactly to it. It's just something to give you a guideline to say, all right, from this time in the day, we're going to focus on reading or, learning something new. And that can be a lot of different things for a lot of different people. So even if you don't have kids, you can take this list and you can customize it to what you're interested in. So instead of maybe kids academic time, you can have adult academic time and you can learn about something that you didn't know about. And we actually did this recently. Every month we would do a calendar of events. Almost every one of my clients does that. And because there's no events now, we were like, okay, so what are we going to put together? And what we did was we put together a list of virtual events. And you're seeing a lot of people do this now. The YMCA, for one, has created an online portal for all of their members where they can go and they have access to different workouts and training from the people at the Y. I guess that what they're doing is they're creating videos or they're going live. And that's allowing people to keep up with a workout regimen. And, the zoo now has live cams, so you can go and you can see what's happening at the zoo. So that was one of the. Oh, yeah, they have live cams. There was an aquarium on our list that allows you to check in on different parts of the aquarium. So there's a lot of different things. You can now tour Buckingham Palace. They have virtual tours. This is where Matterport comes in handy. So for anybody who's doing Matterport tours right now, Matterport probably boomed because of this. And this is a great way to really utilize technology. I, for one, know a photographer that does Matterport, and he's great. His name's Juan Nangales. And he's a really good friend of mine. I love sharing him with other people, even though I don't want to share him too much because he's kind of like my ace in the hole. He's kind of like this undiscovered gem. But yeah, he's great. And he does Matterport. So I'm sure he's been really busy. So email wise, I thought that this was a great tool, having the calendar. I'm just going to scroll down a bit. Are you seeing it on your end?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you bet.
This was another example of an email that we sent out. This was kind of a fun email, and I kind of put the text on each page, even though you can see that this isn't really content heavy. It's really just meant for fun. This was something we did in lieu of a calendar of events for this particular agent. She has specific things that she likes sharing. So one of which is food, which we all eat food, so it's useful to everyone. And what we did was we linked this image with a page that had all sorts of recipes. I think it was like 42 different comfort food recipes that you can make.
I'm sure you've heard of it's COVID-19, but it really is like the 19 pounds that people are putting on.
Exactly. Everyone's
eating all the damn food out of the pantry.
I know, like we needed to remind people to stuff their faces right now. We're like eating everything but the kitchen sink over here. So it's kind of fun. Everyone's home and looking for things to do to take up time. And cooking has really been a great way to do it. So whether you share this on Facebook or through an email, the great thing is you can take the image that we created or that whoever your marketing person is, and you could create a link that goes with it. So anytime you're sending an email out, whether you're referencing a recipe or you're trying to send something that updates people on what's happening in their neighborhood, you can always embed a link into the photo itself. And what I've noticed also helps many of my clients is embedding the photo into the email. So there's no attachment.
Right.
A lot of my agents like to do that. I think because it's nice when you open the email, the image just automatically populates.
Yeah, and we use BombBomb. I'm sure you've heard of that email client.
Oh, yeah.
It's got the video side to it, which is big for us. And we utilize that because, as we all know, people's attention spans is darn near zero. And we always design the emails to mobile devices. Mm-hmm. Yes, everybody has the laptops and they got the iPads and stuff, but we all know based on stats, we're looking at them.
Right.
At least 75% of all the views happen on a cell phone.
Exactly.
So we design all the emails to where they look good going through an iPhone or an Android versus a desktop. So that way it has the same kind of feel. And then we'll test it out once before we send it out to the masses to make sure all the links are working, make sure it looks good. And then it catches your eye, right? To make sure the subject line is right or whatever it is to kind of get people to open it.
Right. I know. I've been following what you've been putting out and your content's so great. And I love that it's short and sweet. And I think that that's key, especially now, because in this day and age, we're all getting hit with so much content. You're being marketed to. Marketing and advertising has been around forever. Think about, back in the day when flowers had to attract bees to pollinate. Flowers were putting it out. That was like a flowers way of advertising. They had to draw in the bees.
Yeah.
And the flowers, with their colors and everything had to appeal to the bees somehow. So that was like the flowers way of advertising to the bees. So we're being advertised to on this nonstop basis. You can't really go anywhere without seeing an ad. It's on our billboards. You have planes flying in the sky with ads now. So it's literally everywhere. So short and sweet is key. That's one of the things I love about the marketing that you do. Your videos are usually pretty short and concise and to the point. And I think that that's, really king right now because, like you said, people's attention span has gotten shorter just because it's almost like content overload. That's why when you're going to put something out, you got to get right to the point. And one of the things I learned a long time ago is if at all, if they get anything at all out of what you're putting out, get your bullet points across, because bullet points at the very least are what people are going to remember about what you present.
It's that boom, 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 quick, to the point, nice and easy. And then you can hopefully get a response from that. So exactly. You want to have very obvious takeaways in your marketing. Here's another example on the screen. This was an email I did for a client of mine. She was looking for something to give people some information on better health. People are obviously very stressed about the COVID-19 pandemic that's going on. I don't know how anyone couldn't be, unless you just don't watch the news or get on your phone at all. But, it's stressful times. So putting out information that's going to allow people to maybe lower their stress levels and remind them, hey, keep calm, get some sleep, eat healthy, take care of yourself, because really that's the best defense right now. Yep. We have a virus circulating, and it's unfortunate that it's literally altered our lives as we know it. So the best way you can, defend yourself is to take care of your terrain, your body, and make sure that you keep your stress levels low. That's why, I was watching the news heavy when this first started, and I realized how anxious it made me. Yep.
So I started kind of leaning towards less news, more health, get outside. And now, people are saying now that being outside in the heat and in the sun is really good, which is great, because I've never seen more people walking their dogs and exercising.
Don't you love all the new news and the data and the information that you get? Oh, don't wear a mask. It's like, guys, all we need to do is, if you look over to Asia, okay, so they've dealt with SARS and MERS and, all this stuff before. This is obviously a bigger one, of course, but they've all worn masks for many, many, many years, and they know that it works. But we all know why they told us not to get masks. And that's because they didn't want to run on the masks, so that way it wouldn't be available for the first line. Totally get it. But now you see what's happened. Americans are not stupid. They've made some really cool, like, designer fashion masks. And, like, all these cool things are happening, and they never had to worry, meaning the government, about Americans like taking up N95s.
Exactly.
People have gotten creative and made some. I just think they're discounting how smart we are and how creative we are and what we'll be able to get done. And honestly, everybody needs to start getting their ass back to work, to be honest with you. I'm being honest and being truthful, because we're learning new things as every day goes on as to what's going on with the virus, et cetera. But, they need to understand that come next month, May, which is coming up pretty soon here, by the middle of May, things better be moving in terms of opening things back up, or these peaceful protests that you're seeing right now that are peaceful are not going to be peaceful next month.
Yeah, exactly.
So people need to be prepared of the economic fallout that hasn't even really begun yet, because everybody's kind of holding on like this to get through March, which we did, April, which we did. Now we're going to start entering kind of a new stage where they have got to get the money flowing and they've got to get work flowing and things opening back up, or you're going to start seeing some weird stuff happen.
I know. And that's the scary thing about all of this. And that's why I'm so happy to be creating some of the content that I create. I actually have an image further down that I'll show you real quick.
Yeah.
This was one of the things that I recently created. This was this one on the right here is parks are now opening throughout San Diego. Now, I took it a step further and got into exactly which. So this was a 2-pager.
Oh my gosh.
I know this was extensive to say the least, but I wanted to be thorough. So what I did was I literally sat on the site. This all came from san diego.gov. This was updated on the 23rd, which by now it's probably outdated because things are changing on a day-to-day basis. But like, you know what? People want to hear optimistic news. And this I thought was great. Parks are starting to reopen as of today. I think beaches are now opening. Now, don't quote me on this. I'm not going to say which beaches because I don't know exactly which, but I did see on one of the county sites that they did declare that they were starting to open beaches and that you obviously have to contact each or look into each to know which is which. But at least there's kind of, a light at the end of the tunnel now. And that's what's so great about the timing now. We're just getting into the summer months, and summer is really one of the busiest seasons, especially with real estate. So any realtor who hasn't taken this time to really, look at your database, comb your CRM, make sure that your online presence is there. This was almost like I wouldn't even call it a pause, because I expected people to slow down with their marketing. And if anything, it ramped up. I've seen so much content going out over the last couple of weeks. I've seen people sending handwritten notes, which is great. I love that. One of the realtors that I know, her name is Heather. She works for Berkshire Hathaway, and she sent a handwritten note to the house. She knows that we're not moving or selling anytime soon. But the fact of the matter is she took the time to do it. And especially when it's a handwritten note, you know that you're much more likely to read it. And the great part about it is it was personal. She talked about specific things that pertain to my in-laws and, this house in particular. And the fact that she took that time was huge. And it probably took her forever to do. But that old school method of handwriting notes is something that you really don't see that much anymore. Even phone calls nowadays. Phone calls are almost like a thing of the past to some people, especially. Yeah,
why not just shoot a little quick texty?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we could be sending texts out at any point in the day. And like I said, I'm a huge advocate for text messages. But, a good old-fashioned phone call sometimes really, it just does the trick. So I'm just going to scroll through a couple more of these just to give you guys more examples. This was another email that we put together. Someone sent me a link from San Diego 101 Dining, and the site itself is kind of messy. So what I did was I simplified the list. I took all of the restaurants that were still open for to-go orders, delivery, or pickup. And what we did was we embedded a link right into the photo itself that goes right back to the site, because on the site, they had links to the menus. There were discounts being applied through their website as well. So this piece was actually really successful for a lot of my clients. All the escrow companies that I work with, they ended up sending this information out to their clients, and we had a huge response. And then here's a couple more examples of something that we did. Someone sent me a link from theclose.com. It was 21 opportunities for realtors. And this one, everyone could kind of take a piece from this, the article. This is exactly what I was talking about. Fine tuning your CRM, asking past clients for reviews right now. I mean, like I said, we're in this kind of pause and wait period. So why not retouch with all your old clients? Make sure they're okay. See if there's anything you can do for them. Try and be a resource for your clients, whether you're looking to sell them something or not, whether they're a past or future client. It's always good to kind of reconnect with your database and really comb it right now, because we've had this little break in work. Not that realtors did. I don't think realtors ever get a break in work, but we've had this.
But you're seeing it affect the real estate industry.
Oh yeah. I mean, the thing is, homes are still selling. And I think that's what realtors need to keep reminding their clients, because I think a lot of people they've pulled their listings either out of fear of having people walk through the home, which they literally stop that from happening to some degree. But what people fail to realize is that all it takes is one buyer. And with the technology that we can implement into our business, you have virtual tours, you have Matterport, realtors are going to the homes, doing live videos from the homes to show the client what it looks like. So short of actually going and being there, I've seen realtors really step up and go above and beyond right now. And I know that we're considered essential, but it's truly taken on its own form. I've never seen realtors doing more for their clients than I have right now at this time. So kudos to all the realtors who are out there, putting their masks on, cleaning homes, disinfecting things. I got to give a lot of credit to everyone who's still trying to, power through this whole thing. Yeah.
You don't have a choice, really. You got to make it happen.
I know.
It has affected the industry. Not so much for stuff under $1 million yet in San Diego.
Right.
It's more of the luxury market that's probably been the first hit right now.
Yeah.
Because of the squeeze in the jumbo lending market.
Right.
But that's, for a whole other real estate topic and discussion. But that's what's happening. Over $1 million, we're seeing price reductions right now. Under $1 million, there's not enough inventory, as we talked about. Most people pulled off the market. So the inventory is still matching the limited demand that's out there. And we'll see what happens as we start to get through this and more inventory comes on. Where's that demand going to be at? Is it going to match it, or is it going to fall short? But we'll see.
Yeah, you know what? And it's funny because I've seen a lot of pieces come out and pieces that I've worked on myself that have been talking about, is it a good time to buy? Is it a good time to sell? And based on what I've read, a lot of people have been saying that really this is working in sellers' favor right now because A, you have low inventory. Mm-hmm. People still want to buy. It's not like homes can ever be replaced. People will always need somewhere to live. So as Matthew Gardner had said, it's not a fungible item. You cannot replace it with something else. So, I mean, that is kind of the silver lining for realtors. And if anyone's thinking of selling, this could kind of be a great time to do so because there's so much less competition. Yep. And then once the summer comes, you're going to see this new wave of real estate hit the market because everyone's going to, this whole pandemic will hopefully lighten up before the summer hits. And it's just going to be this influx of listings. So it's almost like, get it on right now before the inventory gets, stocked back.
I mean, and we'll have to see what happens with that inventory that, obviously came off the market. And,
right, exactly.
And it's going to come back on the market. Oh, I'm bringing up another Jen. I don't know if you know this Jen. I'm bringing her comment up on the screen. Can you see that, or is your thing shared too much?
I still have my my screen up, but read it to me.
She's just giving us a high five.
Oh,
so,
high five.
Jen. Right back at you.
We got a virtual high five.
There you go. So we have a few more minutes here if you want to finish up with some of your last items, and then.
Sure, yeah. Well, we already talked about sharing data, but this was an example of a Facebook post that I did. This was actually based on a video that came out by NSDCAR, and the content was kind of, no offense to NSDCAR, but it was kind of boring. So I just took it and I kind of branded it to what my clients like and made it a little light and airy, made it obvious where the negatives were, where the positives were. So things like this are really great and encouraging for people that are still on the fence about real estate. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways that we can reach our database or our farms. I already talked about emailing. Emailing is obviously huge. It's a great free way to contact our databases. Text messaging, and that's why I'm pulling up this. So this image here on the right, the NSDCAR image, this was meant as an Instagram post, but this same image could also be used as a Facebook post and as a text messaging post. What people do is they save the image to their phone, and then they can text that out to as many people as they want and use it as a way to open dialogue or share some news or information with their clients. So I've seen a lot of people utilizing text messaging right now. I wrote down a couple different ways that you can actually reach out to your clients. You can let them know, hey, I'm still here for you. And I think I have an image down here. See this image here on the left? This is my girlfriend, Glennis Plaisier. She works for Countywide Escrow, and she's a huge advocate for texting her clients. And then I also have on the same page, these were kind of the funnier, lighter, joking ways.
Yeah, I'm digging the lettuce one. Well, the Merlot one, everybody digs that. That's perfect.
I saw these and I just cracked up. And you know what? Laughter really is a great cure-all right now, especially when there's so much content, like I said, coming out. So kind of keeping things light and just saying, hey, I'm here for you. How can I help you? Letting people know that you care about them right now has been a really huge tool for realtors and escrow companies, which are mainly my clients right now. And like I started touching on before, obviously you can utilize your marketing platforms like your MailChimp. If you're going for the free route, email is the easiest way to do it. But if you have the systems already in place and you're already using them, it's a great time to utilize that too and get a lot of information out to a lot of people with minimal effort. Once you have your graphic or your news that you want to share, all you have to do is click a button and it's sent out to, hundreds, if not thousands of people at once. So that's
let me pose this question to you. Of the Merlot mask or the lettuce mask, you have to go back. Which one would you wear? If you had to wear one.
I'd probably wear the Merlot mask for obvious reasons.
Right. All the ladies are like, give me a glass of wine.
Right? Yeah. I think between technology boom right now and alcohol sales, people are just hitting the liquor stores hard right now.
There's a website, I think it's called Disley.com. Mm-hmm. They had the CEO on CNBC the other day, and his sales are through the roof. It's an alcohol delivery service, much like Grubhub.
Wow.
Just like Grubhub, but for alcohol, called drizzly.com. And you could dial up whatever you want.
It's a great idea. I mean, think about the amount of drinking and driving you're minimizing by doing that.
Right. I thought that was pretty funny.
That's hysterical. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you see delivery options become much more of the norm and drive-through options become much more of the norm. I mean, obviously that applies to select businesses, but
the technology that's going to come out of this thing is going to be insane. Everything from the telehospital, telehealth to, I mean, you watch from the virtual stuff, the telecommunication, the ability to work away, all these cool technologies are going to vastly improve over the next year post this thing. So
exactly. And that's why you got to kind of keep in mind that there is a lot of technology being utilized right now. So don't forget to put that human touch on it. You know, let people know like, hey, you know, I might have sent this to a lot of people, but I'm a person. I'm sending this to you. I'm reaching out to you specifically. I'm trying to touch base with you. I want to stay connected, because I think to some degree that virtual everything could kind of work against us. Think about when you try and call a bank and how long it takes you to get on the phone with a person. So as long as you let people know, hey, you know, we have the virtual options. You can sign, you know, a contract with Zip form and you know, we can close escrow without even seeing each other. But at the end of the day, people are always going to want that human contact. You know what I mean?
So we got about 1 more or 2 more minutes left here. I don't know if you want to share anything on the screen or if we want to finish with conversation. You tell me.
Yeah, you know what? I was just, it's totally up to you. I'm just going to scroll through a couple of the posts that I have in my presentation. We did a post for Earth Day, keeping it kind of light. We already went the park openings. So you get the general idea of some of the content that we've been doing, or that I should say I've been doing. It's not like I work with other people. It's just me and my clients. But information, and then, of course, humor. I thought humor was a great tool, especially right now with everything being kind of tense and scary. I think at the end of the day, it's nice to let people know, hey, we're all in this together. We're all human beings. We're all here for each other. And it's, if anything, out of all of this, I've never seen community come together more. One thing that we've been doing here up in El Cajon is we have a great lemon tree in the backyard. So we've been, you know, we washed our hands, don't freak out anyone, washed our hands, picked a bunch of lemons and put them out in a bowl in the front of the house with a little sign saying, hey, you know, we just picked these, our hands were washed before we picked them. Feel free to help yourself. And it's just that sense of community that I think people are kind of yearning for, you know, seeing their neighbors and knowing that there's people that are, you know, there for them and kind of supporting others at a time like this. I think that's extremely important.
So Jen, a comment's up on the screen now from another Jen, by the way. She wants to know your Facebook or Insta page handles or info.
Oh yeah. My Instagram is getjmarked. It's JMARKD. My Facebook is Facebook.com/jmarked.
Get J Mark, M-A-R-D.
My website is under construction right now. Somebody stole my credit card number and it just turned into a whole big mess. So I'm using my time just the same way I'm telling everyone else to revamp my website. But eventually, once I get it back up, it's jmarked.com, JMARKD.com. And once it's back up, I have examples of work I do. I work on websites. I do social media content. I pretty much do everything. I've been in the real estate industry for such a long time. So I know exactly what realtors need and are looking for, whether it's postcards or flyers or trifolds. I mean, I pretty much am a catch-all, especially when it comes to real estate. I do marketing for all businesses, but real estate is really my bread and butter because I'm a realtor myself and I've been in this industry for such a long time now. So,
you know, helpful. I mean, you definitely get it, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's great. It's kind of nice to be on both ends of the spectrum because you're seeing it from both points of view. You know, I know what people like marketing wise, and I know what realtors need because I had my license. Yeah. So.
Well, that's about all the time we have. We could probably stay here for another hour if we wanted to.
I know. We got to talk more about that Merlot mask.
That's right. But super helpful for people. I just wanted to take 30 minutes, brush through the top 5 kind of tips you'd recommend for people in the service industry, whether you're a realtor, escrow rep, title reps. I mean, you name it. There's all kinds of different industries and service type stuff that's out there for people. And just trying to get through this time and provide content if you're on a budget or if you have a budget or don't have a budget, it doesn't really matter. but be helpful for everybody. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone's interested in getting a copy of this slideshow or wants to see some more examples of what I do, just feel free to.
So it's JMAKRD.com.
MARKD.com. And so my email address is jennifer@jmarkd.com. So feel free to reach out to me if you're looking for anything or just want to talk about creative ways to reach out to your audience or database. I love brainstorming, and I have tons of.
I'm scrolling out across the bottom. Can you see that? Is that accurate?
Let me pull the Chrome back up. Is that going to mess things up too much?
You're good to go now.
Yeah, there you go. jmark.com.
There you go. Scrolling thicker.
Up and running today, just so people aren't like, hey, where's her website? But it is under construction, so just bear with me, guys.
Okay. Awesome. Otherwise, they can visit you on
Yeah, find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram, jmarked.com, or get jmarked on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, Jenn, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And you can stay on as I end the broadcast and we'll chat afterwards. But thanks so much, everybody.
Awesome.